Hello everyone, this is Grace. It is October the 12th, 2024, and the Day of Atonement has officially commenced. So we're going to be talking about, I'm going back and forth whether or not it's an illustration or a prophecy that's given in the tithe, perhaps both. I'm going to put prophecy in the title, but I'll let you decide. But it's an illustration or a prophecy given in our offering system, not in the tithe by itself, in the offering system. And we all have seen bits and pieces of it. This is just going to be a video compiling it all together so that we can have the whole picture in one video. So the first we need to look at the offerings given in the offering system. Now there's a lot of false offerings in the Bible, ones that are not supposed to be there. But there are several offerings that are required of God, and he does not go beyond those offerings. That's why when we see all of those lies in Leviticus, and offer a goat, and offer a bull, and offer 6 lambs, and this, that, and the other, all of that's lies. All of that is, that's what they do. They offer all that blood offerings. We know it. We see it. Oh, hey, look. They tell us. They show us on television. They show us in their writings. It's just common. It's just common knowledge that they make those blood offerings. But that's not required of our God. Let's take a look at the prophecy. We'll speak more of the sacrificial system in another video, not this one. We know that there's one lamb that is required. One lamb. But that is so that you can understand the prophecies. And so let's go ahead and get started. The first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not see the kid in its mother's milk. See the kid in its mother's milk is just an old saying, saying don't take your greatest blessing and mess it up, basically, and make it your worst curse or something like that. The first of the first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of the Lord thy God. So the first fruits are required. However, this is not the first fruits. It's telling you the first of the first fruits. This is a picture of the firstborn. The first of the first fruits. Honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And this word here is the word for first fruit. I think it's 106 though. I'm not sure. We'll see in the other scriptures. Firstborn, firstling of men and women, of animals. I'm not sure. Let's look at the other ones and we'll see 106 though. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. He shall take it out of the sheep. It cannot be out of the goats. That doesn't belong in the Bible. It's a deception. Again, we're talking about the firstborn here. I may have had that in the right area, actually, because that may have been the firstborn, because I have it in the section with the firstborn, so I might have gotten that wrong. Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine. So the firstborn belong to God. However, we know that Jesus represents the firstborn. So all of the firstborn are God's. They're holy unto him. And Jesus, of course, is the first. He's the first created. So he is the first of the firstborn. Thou shalt not delay to offer the first of thy ripe fruits, and of thy liquors, the firstborn of thy sons thou shalt give unto me. Likewise shalt thou do with thine oxen and with thy sheep. All that openeth the matrix is mine, and every firstling among thy cattle, whether it be ox or sheep, all of them, not just the males. They're all. The firstborn is the key to understanding the prophecy or the illustration. Israel was holiness unto the Lord, and the first fruits of his increase. All that devour him shall offend. Evil shall come upon them, saith the Lord. Let's look this up, because this is the first, I believe. The first beginning, the best. We know that we are the church of the firstborn. So Israel was holiness unto the Lord, the first fruits of his increase, the church of the firstborn. And all the tithe of the land. So I'm not sure where. I don't have scriptures for the first fruit. Hold on. Let's just look up the first fruit. I'll put an S on there. (106:1) is first fruits. There we go. The first fruits of thy labors, the first of the first fruits of thy land. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks of the first fruits. No. Here we go. Here's one. Leviticus 2:12. I think I have that in here. Well, just in case. Let's take a look at it. No, I don't have it. As for the oblation of the first fruits, ye shall offer them unto the Lord, but they shall not be burnt on the altar for a sweet savor. The first fruits are to be taken to the temple, and they are to be given to the priest, and they are to be weighed before the Lord. And you'll have to check me on that, because I don't think I put that in here. They are going to be a heave offering. I do recall that. The heave offering, and this is a correction. I may do a video, because I haven't said otherwise in a different video. The heave offering is any offering that is holy unto the Lord. It's going to include the tithe of the tithe, any free will offerings, any offering that's used as far as the temple service. The heave is like lifting it up. So it is going to be uplifted because of its use in the temple service. And that's what the heave offering is. So it can be a tithe, which is what I incorrectly said before. It can be a first fruit offering. It can be everything except the firstborn offering. And the reason why is because Jesus represents the firstborn. And so he's given possession of all of the offerings. They're all given to the high priest, if you remember. They're all given. The tithe is given to the Levites, and then the Levites give the best of the best to the office of the high priest. But it can't be included in the heave offering, because the high priest office goes to God. God has given everything else under the jurisdiction of the high priest. But he can't give jurisdiction of the firstborn, of all of the firstborn, because Jesus is the firstborn. Okay. It's a little complicated, but it's understandable. All that openeth the matrix is mine, and every firstling among thy cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is mine. Not male, all of them. Israel was holiness unto the Lord, and the first fruits of his increase, all that devour him shall offend. Okay, we've read that before. And all the tithes of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the trees, is the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord. And concerning the tithe of the herd or of the flock, even of whatsoever passeth under the rod, the 10th shall be holy unto the Lord. Speaking to the children of Israel, and say unto them, when ye come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the firstfruits of your harvest unto the priest. It's one sheaf, the sheaf, which represents Christ. We are given to Christ. So the first fruits is going to be us, the children of Israel. We are the first church, the firstborn, or the church of the firstborn, which go to Christ first, right? All of us will need to bring a tithe. So we have the tithe, we have the firstborn offering, we have the first fruits offering, and then we have the tithe. I put this in just in case you should look for your, just when you're doing research. I didn't want you to get caught up on this right shoulder and the breast offering and stuff like that. None of that is real. The right shoulder, it can't be placed in scripture anywhere. The Lord never claims it. And if you go and look, I think it's Leviticus 2 or 3. I can't recall which one it is. But it's not mentioned there. And so it's just made up. They just made it up and plucked it in here. And they've got the right shoulder and some sort of breast. Here's the breast up here. It's not part of the offering. The fat, which is waved, is part of the first fruit offering. And we'll talk about more about that later. But the fat is part of the first fruits offering. So that's correct. But the breast, no. The shoulder, no. That's just made up. And I didn't want you to get hung up on that. And this is thine, the heave offering of their gift, with all the wave offerings of the children of Israel. I have given them unto thee, and to thy sons, and to thy daughters with thee, by a statute forever. Every one that is clean in thy house shall eat of it. So I said the heave offering was used in the temple. Maybe it is. The heave offering has been eluding me. I don't know. We're going to say, based on this scripture, that it's not that it's used in the temple, but that it's used in by the priest office, the most holy, in the most holy place. But there's this, the tip. You'll have to research it on your own to be certain. The heave offering is used in such a diverse number of ways. But it's not the first fruit. It's not the firstborn. I know that. But everything else is included under it. And the tithe of the tithe can be included under it. Your first fruit is definitely included under it. Offerings to the temple are included under it, but they're used by the high priest. So heave offering, and this is thine, the heave offering of their gift, and all the wave offerings. Now, I'm just gonna, my original definition is, I believe is correct. The heave offering it's heaved up because of its use in the temple. So the use in the temple service is a heave offering. And just a portion of it is given to the priest. The tithe goes to the Levites. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb wheresoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the firstfruits unto God and to the Lamb. Here, I put these scriptures in here to show you that the high priest has been given possession of all of these offerings. The Lord claims them as his own. He claims the firstborn. He claims the tithe, and he claims the first fruit. Anything beyond those three offerings is an abomination, even if it's in this Bible. It was not written by the prophets, and it's not real. Okay? He does not require anything beyond that from you. Keep yourself from being deceived by learning that. Because there's a lot of abominations. Leviticus, it's got more lies in it than it does truth. It's got like a page of lies for every few truths that are in there. And at that time, were some appointed over the chambers. Our religion is amazingly simplistic. It is just, when you look at all of the procedures and all of the back and forth, and you got to do this and you got to do that, and be here at this time on that day, and make sure you have all these offerings, and something has to always die whenever you offer something. It can never just be a regular offering. There always has to be something dead. It's very crude and very barbaric, and that's not your religion. Your religion is very simple. It's extremely simplistic. If you take all of the lies out of the Bible, all these offerings, all this blood, none of it applies. None of it is real. And at that time, well, of course, there's the one offering. There's the Passover lamb. And at that time were some appointed over the chambers, but that's because, hold on, let's go back for a second. But that offering is for you, to teach you. And at that time were some appointed over the chambers for the treasures, for the offerings, and for the first fruits, and for the tithes. It gives you the offerings here. This is the heave offering, and the first fruits, and the tithes, to gather into them out of the fields of the cities the portions of the law, for the priests and for the Levites. For Judah rejoiced, for the priests and for the Levites that waited. Those are your offerings. For I will pass, and the firstborn. But they didn't wait for the firstborn there, so. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. This kind of helps to illustrate the prophecy, in that when you go before God, you will have the high priest, who is the firstborn. He has been given possession, of course, over the tithes and the offerings. So when he died, I didn't put that in here, he presented himself to God as a wave offering, right? You, as the first fruits, will be presented to God. You go in as the first fruits. You go to the temple as the first fruits. You are presented as a heave offering, possibly a wave offering, I can't recall. Then you have to bring a gift, okay? You have to bring in your tithe, the tithe of the tithe, okay? So the tithe of the tithe is when we go out to the other nations and we bring in the additional people. And so then all the tithe belongs to God as well. And that is how the house of God is made up. The high priest, the firstborn son, the first fruits, the first church. And then we, as the servants of God, go out and bring in the harvest. And the tithe of the harvest goes to the temple. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering in the end of the year. There's no whiches. Both of these feasts are at the end of the year, which is what we're in now. When thou hast gathered in thy labors in the field. You gather in your labors in the field. And then you take your tithe to God. It belongs to him. And it says both of them are at the end of the year, if you read it carefully, by the way. But now Christ But now is Christ risen from the dead and become the first fruits of them that slept. We'll read through this. For since by man came death, no, we don't need that. But every man in its own order, Christ, then the first fruits, and afterwards they that are Christ at his coming. And those that are Christ are the tithe, or the tithe of the tithe. I think this is the last one. It is. Okay. For in mine holy mountain, in the mountain of the height of Israel, saith the Lord God, there shall all the house of Israel, all of them in the land serve me. There will I accept them, the first fruit, and there will I require your offerings, the tithe, and the first fruits of your oblations, the tithe of the tithe, with all your holy things. Oh, the offerings, this is heave offerings, this is not tithe. And the first fruits of your oblations. But your offerings is also the tithe. Because it's still used for the temple service. And the first fruits, so the tithe is going to him, and the tithe of the tithe. The first of your oblations with all your holy things. And that's the last one. So, yep, we will stop there, and that's all I have to say, so we're going to stop there. I will talk with you in the next video.